let's talk about a topic that's probably not covered enough in our space, identity protection. To break it all down for me, I'm joined by Eiden of Redacted to learn more. Ken, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Shannon, I appreciate it.
So looking forward to this conversation, but before we get to that big question, let's start a little higher level. Tell me a little bit about Redacted and what makes it different from the credit monitoring solution advisors already know about.
Yeah, I think when most people think about credit monitoring, they think about what's available to the general population today. You get an alert through an app, you get an email, you get a toll-free number to call, and you hope somebody on the other end kind of knows what you're going through and can help you out, right? It's a great product. We have a division of our organization that does that, but in the ultra-high net worth space and the families that advisors serve, it's categorically different. There's business exposure, there's philanthropic exposure, there's family exposure. There's this larger digital footprint. Criminals like because there's access to wealth, there's access to data, and it makes it a very lucrative target. If you're going to commit a crime, right, it makes much more sense to spend that time going after a family that's going to like give out a larger payout, right? So our biggest differentiator in this space is an identity intelligence officer. This is somebody who's certified by a third-party entity, and there's actually multiple. These are people who are dedicated to protecting individual families and family offices, principals, C-suite executives. It's what they live for, right? As an organization, we've been doing this for nearly 20 years. We've protected more than 6 million members. It's just a great service, but it needs to be elevated to this level because the exposure and the risk is much more greater.
So let's get under the hood a little bit more, because that's a newer title that I've heard, is an identity intelligence officer. What does that actually mean for a high net worth family, and what does that relationship then look like?
Right, so think about this as any other specialist that the family has in their ecosystem, in the circle, right? So they've got a CPA who knows their tax exposure. They've got an attorney with the legal exposure. They have a wealth manager who's doing their finances. Any one of these individuals could, in theory, do all this stuff by themselves, but they go out and they find the experts, right? Because they know that they're not. And so we are the experts in the domain of identity. And when I say identity, I'm not just talking about your name and social and date of birth. I'm an Android guy. We have clients who are Apple people, right? I have my home, I have my family. All of that defines my identity as a person. We're looking to protect all of that. So our officer comes in and looks at what is the holistic picture that this client is exposed to, what is unique about them, and we tailor the experience and the coverage based on their unique needs.
So where does identity protection then fit in within that broader advisory relationship, and how does the IIO sit alongside the other professionals serving?
Yeah, so they become part of the trusted circle, right? So if you think about when you're, most wealth managers look at the risk to the portfolio, right? Criminals are a risk to the individual, which can then access the portfolio. So it is kind of a blind spot with most wealth managers that I speak with today, but a lot of them are looking for expanded services. How do I really, really protect my client? Am I mitigating all the risks that I can? This is one of those strategies. So when we interact with our clients, it's a very intimate discussion. We gather a lot of data, right? We're looking at your homes, your cars, your family. We're onboarding your children because criminals don't care who they have to leverage to get to you and your wealth and your data.
And it's so important, especially in today's day and age where we live in that digital world and there is so much data on the individual. And I would think that most advisors probably assume that their clients have this aspect handled, but what are they likely missing?
Yeah, so most wealth managers that I talk to today think that the general consumer product I mentioned earlier is enough. Or they've got a homeowner's policy or a cyber policy that's going to cover the client. A lot of that's very reactive, right? It will help them get restored, but it doesn't factor in all the lost hours, the reputational harm, and we're also seeing a large increase in terms of policies and claims that are being denied because they don't have the protections in place. So I think it's like 25 to 40% of claims now are being denied because the insurance carrier just doesn't want to pay it out because the protections weren't in place. So that's probably the biggest gap. And like I said, a lot of it is reactive. So you're not putting these things up front. You're not going out and eliminating data that's out there already. And all you're doing is helping restore on the back end.
Well, those numbers are a bit staggering, so I have to ask then, where can firms get started if this should be top of mind for them?
So best places to call me. But our website is www.redacted.me, not redacted.com, because we are redacting people, right? So the me just works out well for us. And we do a consultation, like, does this program work for you? And what does that whole experience look and feel like? And we do this with partnerships through wealth managers, but also with clients directly.
Well, Ken, I appreciate the context on this very important topic. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks, Shannon, I appreciate it.
For Wealth Management, I'm Shannon Rossick.